Hey everyone, and welcome to Real Life Real Crime Daily for Friday, the 20th of January, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agavino. Welcome back. This is episode 5 of Real Life Real Crime Daily. Hard to believe we're at episode 5, guys.
I know it.
Rocking it.
Time flies when you're having fun. Well, speaking of fun, which maybe shouldn't be fun, but we've taken a certain liking or a certain interest in a story we've been following about a woman by the name of Taylor Shabusiness up in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Urban legend.
Urban legend.
Now she will be.
Well, Shabusiness's lawyer says that she's crazy.
Well, tell about the crime. In case
we're
gonna
update you on the crime, but I first wanted to ask Woody. Do you remember the All Madden team they had in the NFL? It's like All Pro, but John Madden used to do it, and he would nominate his guys for all these crazy reasons. Right. So I think we need an All Woody team.
Yeah, well, Shabusiness is definitely.
I think we need an All Woody team, and I would nominate Shabusiness as the first.
If somebody comes along,
I second that.
And I mean, Kohlberger could be on there also, but Shabusiness is just different. Well, Kohlberger is horrible. It's all horrible, but I mean, you change your last name to Shabusiness.
Well, and remember, Miss Shabusiness earlier last year in Green Bay, Wisconsin, committed a gruesome murder of a gentleman by the name of Shad Therian. This was not her husband. This was someone she had a relationship with out of wedlock.
Sexual relationship.
Yes, a sexual relationship. And Shad Therian will not be having any other sexual relationships from here on. As a result of that one, he lost his head. He lost multiple other body parts. Other body parts were played with after his death in an attempt to arouse them. And all kinds of other crazy things went on. And
layman's terms, she blew him after he was dead and used sexual toys on him after he was dead.
Postmortem,
yeah.
Hence her All Woody nomination. But just to refresh, she is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. She was supposed to stand trial on October 24th of 2022, but in September, her lawyer argued, first, Ms. Shabusiness changed her plea. Her plea had been not guilty. She changed her plea to not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. Mental disease or defect. Any thoughts about that, fellas?
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about it.
I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Y'all, I've seen this numerous times, this attempt to be used, insanity plea, if you will, is basically what she's saying. Now, most of the insanity pleas are totally bullshit. Like, the person obviously hides the body or, lies to the cops or whatever. It's one thing if you kill someone and you plan it out ahead of time. That means you're sane, okay? The Shabusiness, I'm kind of on the fence by it because she left a head in a mop bucket where it could be found by the victim's mother. Then, once questioned about it, she said, "Oh, fuck, I left that." And then she goes on to confess. I left the head. You're really going to have a hard time finding the rest of the body parts. And I blew him after I killed him. Went into detail how she killed him, that she was choking him out, and then she just kept on one and on. But then she had oral sex with him postmortem. Then she used sexual toys on him postmortem. Her words, not mine. I think there's certainly a screw loose that you can't use the I was high on drugs. That's not an insanity defense. if you're truly insane, you don't try to cover anything up. I think that where they're going to get her on this is she actually cut the body up and obviously put some pieces somewhere, so that if she was truly insane, she would have done it, and she'd have sat there naked waiting for somebody to find her because she's out of her mind. I also think she's a bit cray-cray on the stuff that she did afterwards at 24 years old. So the insanity defense or the competency hearing, first of all, they're going to have that anyway. Even if her lawyer hadn't asked for it, the prosecution would have certainly said, "Oh, this is a first-degree murder case. We need to make sure she's competent to stand trial and can assist in her defense."
Right. So based upon that change in her plea, they postponed her trial date pending testing.
Yeah, so they had a subsequent hearing where basically they wanted to determine the mental competency of Miss Shabusiness. And on its face, you may think, well, obviously she's got to be crazy. I mean, this girl cut off body parts. She was performing oral sex on a corpse, all of these sorts of things. They still do these competency tests, and it's important to note that she was high on meth during this whole thing. I mean, not defending her actions, but I doubt this was a common thing with her. Whether those drugs had a weird effect, I mean, I think is apparent, but that obviously plays against her in the mental competency hearing.
It's her choice to use the drugs.
100%.
Right.
100%. So she was found competent to stand trial by a judge, and her attorney basically did not agree with that and filed another request for a mental competency test.
You know, on these tests, they'll send them to whatever, like in Louisiana, it's in the East Feliciana hospital, if you will, for the criminally insane. Now, there's some people in there that they're going to die there. That's their prison. But anybody that gets tested gets sent to this facility, and these shrinks, and they run numerous tests. It's not just one test. They do all kinds of evaluations, et cetera, and they come back and they give their opinion. They can either assist in the main worry is if they're so crazy that they can't assist in their own defense, right? And naturally they came back on Shabusiness and said, yeah, but you know what? She did a lot of crazy shit, but she's not insane.
Her attorney, Mr. Jolly, they have some great last names for the Shabusiness and Jolly. Mr. Jolly basically had a quote, and I'm not going to read you the whole quote because it's boring, but he basically said upon his discussions he had with his client, he had some concerns regarding her ability to understand the proceedings and assist in her own defense. He also received some jail records, and that created some concerns for him. And her behavior in the courtroom created some concerns for him. So based upon that and the fact that she had been on suicide watch since August 31st of 2022, the concern warranted his request for another exam.
Is there a limit to the number of requests you can make?
I don't think so. I mean, you can come back and request it again if she does something else crazy, right? But in so many of these cases, when they try to use insanity plea, they're going to go in jail and strip naked on suicide watch and shit on themselves. And I've actually seen this happen, defecate and rub it all over themselves. They're going to try to act crazy as fuck because, you know, you're about to get the death penalty if they have it in this case. But they're erring on the side of caution, basically. And of course, the judge is not going to refuse it. I'm sure she's done a bunch of crazy shit in jail and everything else. But I mean, let her have the test.
And I would imagine that they this is judge's discretion. They don't have to approve a second one, much less a third, fourth, fifth. I don't think there's a law.
The judge is afraid if they don't do it, and it's a reasonable request because her courtroom annex and the shit she sent into jail, then they go to trial. The judge is always looking at the appeal. She gets found guilty. They're going to appeal saying she was crazy. You didn't give me my test request, so they're going to give it to him.
But that doesn't necessarily delay the trial.
Yeah, you can't go to trial until they can make their defense. If she's too crazy to help in her defense, you got to have the test done, and then after the test done, if it comes back and says she's competent again, the thing is that you lost that time in preparing your defense. So the trial is going to be delayed. Then the next court they have, that bitch is going to be delayed too.
Well, and in this case, Judge Walsh did note that the defense could get another exam. However, she did note that it is not going to hold up the scheduled trial date. So she basically put their feet to the fire and said, you want to get another exam, that's fine. But this trial is going on this date.
Unless the second exam or their exam comes back and they say she's crazy. But you go ahead and keep preparing because this can't be a delay tactic. So I get that. But,
Now she's charged y'all with, well, you already covered that.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
the charges is serious. It's going to be on appeal. I don't know if the state has the death penalty or not. But regardless, the judge is going to grant that competency hearing because if they come back and they say she's not competent and they find her guilty at trial, then they're going to get it overturned on appeal. And you're wasting taxpayers' money, and Shabusiness will do her business.
Well, there is a new trial date scheduled for March 6th,
right,
2023. And as the first nominee to the all Woody team, I'm smelling the first Real Life, Real Crime Daily road trip up to Green Bay. It's still a little cold in early March, isn't it?
Look, I'll get a T-shirt in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's about a 17-hour drive. I'll go up there turkey hunting.
We could even bring her a shirt that says "Welcome to the all Woody team."
We need to go up there and cover this.
Well, maybe we root for another delay that takes us into springtime.
It's going to delay. I can promise you that March 6th is bullshit.
Okay. So, Lawyer Jolly, keep filing the extensions and the tests so that we can come up in the spring and maybe do a meet and greet with Shabusiness. Wouldn't that be great?
Be love.
Moving on to another favorite of ours, Taco Vigilante. So there's been some developments in the Houston case of Taco Vigilante. Let me remind you guys of this story. So this is a gentleman who happened to be enjoying a taco at his favorite neighborhood taqueria in Houston, Texas, when a young man walked in and wielding a handgun and instructed every one of the patrons to hand over their money. As he began walking around tables and collecting the money, Taco Vigilante waited till he walked right by his table. He then promptly stood up, got behind the bad guy, and as I said last time, he shot him up good.
Yeah, you said he killed him good.
Yeah, well, he may have killed him too good based upon what's happening now, which is that activists in Houston are calling for the arrest of Taco Vigilante, who is still not named in any of this reporting. And they're saying that he went from being a law-abiding citizen to a lawbreaker when he continued to fire despite there being no threat. And so, Woody, you know exactly what happened. You have described it. What would you think the over-under on shots fired should be in a situation like this?
It's maybe you got away with it with the first shot fired, but certainly, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he shot him in the back to begin with. And then as he goes down, he puts 8 more in him. I mean, it's like the last episode of Real Life Real Crime Daily with a chiropractor tried to give his wife lead poisoning. This dude was doing the same thing to the Taco Vigilante gave this dude lead poisoning 9 times. So I think he's definitely going to face something. Problem is, he also left the scene.
The update is that you have this activist group now. So he's gone from hero to now his hero status is being challenged directly
Right.
They're calling
by
for his
activists
head.
who are calling for him to be charged. And there is a grand jury that is investigating the case. They've not identified him as I said. But by the way, it wasn't clear whether all 9 shots had been had made contact with the target. So it's possible that his lead poisoning isn't quite as bad as you intimated. But
He still sprung leaks, evidently.
yeah, and the activists point out that the manner in which Taco Vigilante left the scene after the 9 shots, he threw his cup on the bad guy, if he's still the bad guy, on the floor of the taqueria as he walked out to get in his vehicle, which we talked extensively about last time. So
he shoots him, kills him good and thorough, and then throws his cup on him as he's walking out and doesn't call authorities. I think if he had just called the cops, he wouldn't be having this issue.
probably, I mean, something needs to happen. I mean, the message to the public here, if nothing happens, is
It's Texas, baby, and you got a right to defend yourself. But
That's right. And I mean, how many shots? Just because, in my mind, look, I'm not my defense to that would be, hey, I'm not a police officer. I'm not a someone that goes around shooting people all day long. And I don't have any idea how many shots it would take to stop somebody. I've seen people get shot 3 and 4 times and keep coming.
Yeah, look,
I'm going to unload.
I have 16 rounds, and they asked me why did I shoot them 16 times. I'm going to say because I didn't have a 17th round.
Right. I mean, this guy could have killed everybody in there. We don't know what his intention was either. He could have been robbing, and then he's going to turn around and just kill the whole place.
Hey, the whole thing wouldn't have happened had he not gone in there and robbed them with a toy gun.
Right.
Or with a gun, period.
Right.
So, tough one.
dumping a drink on him. And
Yeah, that's
But
I am with Mike that something is going to happen to him just from the aspect of they do not want to set a precedent that everybody can go around unloading a weapon on somebody just because they can rob. Yeah, I mean you killed him,
But that don't mean I
but
don't
then you
agree with it.
throw your drink on him as the last disrespect, right?
Well,
And
the
then you
authorities
left.
the authorities in Harris County are saying that it could be that they may go after abuse of a corpse as the crime, which is somehow a misdemeanor. That's a misdemeanor.
Well, that can't be for the other 8 rounds he put out. Maybe that's for throwing the drink on him, because I mean, you don't know which shot killed him.
That's my point.
Yeah, but hey, throwing the drink on him, that's pretty cold-blooded, and just walking out. I'm going home. See you later.
Shout out.
Yeah, I think I had him with a chance to get on the all Woody team until I saw the dumping the drink on him, and
he's screwed.
that and the truck. We can't let him.
Yeah, the truck
let
is
him in. So
the pimp ride.
Taco Vigilante,
I like that
you
truck,
good luck to you, sir.
Yeah, interesting. Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through: premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of an LSU Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdowns scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gifts to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
You guys remember the former governor of the state of New Jersey, Chris Christie?
Yes, and also worked with Trump for a while and everything else.
And slammed Mark Rubio in the debate. And
True.
Mark Rubio was never heard of again in the presidential election, if you'll remember.
Yeah.
I do remember.
He's a career politician.
One of the best, probably 2 minutes I've ever seen in a debate.
Yeah.
He absolutely ate Rubio's lunch, but that's for another day.
Christie.
Well, he's got a niece that might have some etiquette issues. So his niece was at the Louis Armstrong Airport just down the road in New Orleans back Thanksgiving time, and she was forced to get off an airplane because she asked she asked passengers who appeared to her to be Latino whether they were drug mules. She also kicked and spit on Jefferson Parish Sheriff's deputies as they tried to detain her and get her off of the plane. Her name is Shannon Epstein. She's 25. She was boarding a Spirit Airlines flight to New Jersey. And like I said, she asked a family that was seated near her, whom she perceived to be Latino, if they were smuggling cocaine.
Maybe she wanted some cocaine.
That's according to Captain Jason Rivardi of the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. He said that airline workers requested Epstein be removed from the plane as she became increasingly irate and the plane, which had started to taxi to the runway, returned to the gate. When the deputies arrived, Epstein refused to exit the jet bridge, and when they tried to arrest her, she became extremely combative.
Yeah, and the problem with that is, you know how narrow planes are, right? And then I imagine the Spirit Airlines, Thanksgiving time, that's full, and they go to put, they were giving her verbal orders to exit the plane. She's like, "Go fuck yourself. I'm trying to talk to my drug mules." And they have to then, the use of force continuum is what it's called. Their next step would have been either soft empty hand control, which is actually putting your hands on them and escorting them all. And they certainly wouldn't have used freeze plus P, which is actually right after verbal commands, because it would have infected everybody on the plane. So you have to put hands on them. Now I don't know what this lady's size is or anything, but you have to put hands on them, and then the fight's on. Now, let me tell you something. I don't care. In movies or whatever you see, it's hard to get somebody handcuffed if they want to resist. Male, female, it doesn't matter. And the tighter the confinements are, like they are on an airplane, it's fight on.
Yeah, so we don't know if these 6 deputies that tried to arrest her were female, male, whatever. But, I mean, there's some things to keep in mind here. Number one, if you're male and you've got a female that you're arresting, I don't care what anybody says, you're going to take a little more care with a female. If that was a male, they would have tackled him, grabbed him, however they had to grab him. A female, they're probably a little more cautious. You're also doing this in public, on a plane and on a jet bridge where you have people watching you. They're around you. Right. They're watching you. Guess what? Everybody's got a cell phone.
Right.
So, there's that to consider too. So the last thing you want to do is have 6, let's assume they're male deputies, trying to take this lady down, and everybody's filming it and they're manhandling her and throwing her against walls. That's not going to happen anymore, not in this day and time.
But you still got to do your job.
Still got to do your job, and that's just what they tried to do. And eventually they did get her handcuffed. My point is they probably took a little more care than they would with a guy. Well, in the scuffle, she actually bit
nice
some deputies. She kicked another in the groin.
Yes.
She was fighting, right? And so I haven't seen the video of them arresting her, but it's funny that it took 6 of them to do it. But I can kind of see that if it was 6 guys, man, because they're not going to just tackle her.
But I don't care if it's guys and girls. It's a hell of a lot harder to get somebody down, especially in a confined space, and get handcuffs on them and get control, especially at some point she bit one of them, and I'm sure he's back the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
And just to even get your hands behind their back. That's why on females, on our use of force continuum, right after verbal commands, you could spray them. And I used to love it. And a female would get out and be like, "Ma'am, turn around, put your hands behind your back, go fuck yourself." I'm like, "Okay." And I spray it, and then they're like, for the first minute or so, it doesn't hurt that bad, and then your eyes involuntarily swell shut, you can't breathe and everything else. It's a gift that keeps on giving. But I would spray them in a heartbeat, so I didn't have to put my hands on them until, they weren't fighting after the spray, but you can't spray in this confined space. But 6, it's not unheard of, y'all. I'm telling you, I've been piles like that. We call them a scrum with me and 5 other guys on one guy, and you're fighting and everybody's trying to grab a limb and get their arms back, and your buddy gets bit and kicks somebody else in the nuts, and 6 is what it is.
Well, and she was also screaming during this melee that her uncle is personal friends with Donald Trump.
That's right.
So I don't know what you're thinking you're doing trying to handcuff me, but I'm going to get the Donald on the phone. The Donald?
The true victims.
I've been arrested.
Yeah. The true victims in this story are the people, and they may not even been Latino. She had the gumption to say, "Hey, drug mules."
Yeah.
And then she's going to take on the whole Air Force Department from Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office.
Do y'all like sell cocaine?
Hey, and The other
I don't
real
think that's
victims
how
in the
she said
story are the people who are riding shitty Spirit Airlines to begin with, and they got to turn around and taxi back to the gate.
That's what I'm wondering. What is she doing riding Spirit Airlines?
right.
With,
I mean, it's like
your
divorce.
uncle's freaking personal friends with the Donald,
Right.
and you're on Spirit?
Yeah.
Don't knock Spirit.
I don't mind Spirit, but I'm not.
I've ridden them.
I mean, you would think she'd have a private plane or something. And actually, she had some money. Look, she got arrested. They actually handcuffed her to a wheelchair. Eventually, so she could move, she wouldn't walk. So they handcuffed her to the wheelchair to roll her out. And the most interesting thing about that was, as soon as she got to jail, she bailed out, paid $10,750.
Yeah, so
she had money.
That's over.
Probably saved that Delta money.
That's 12% of it. Yeah, right. Maybe she didn't buy the snacks that pre-purchased the snacks from Spears, or pay for the carry-on bag.
But you would think a private plane or something.
Man, I don't know. That story is fucked up.
Oh, folks, if you search Shannon Epstein, New Jersey, or Shannon Epstein, Chris Christie, you will get some images. This does not in any way look like the kind of person who. So she had to be hammered. She had to be hammered.
I mean,
airport alcohol, baby.
Right.
Can you imagine being on that plane, seeing this hammered girl walk on and ask this family if they were smuggling
drug mules?
Are you drug mules?
What the fuck?
And then she's shouting that she knows Donald Trump and is Chris Christie's niece.
Yes, indeed.
Did Chris Christie offer any comment?
No, he did not. Actually, not surprisingly. I mean, they reached out to him, left a couple messages, and he had no comment.
He probably disowned her years ago. She might have asked him if he a drug mule.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's another exciting opportunity for Real Life, Real Crime Daily to go on the road.
Yeah.
Epstein was booked on 6 counts of battery on a police officer, 3 of disturbing the peace, 1 of resisting arrest by force, and 1 of remaining after forbidden.
Yeah,
I guess
that's
she wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
As Jim mentioned, she paid her bail. The good news is she's scheduled to return to New Orleans for a court appearance on January 23rd. That's next week.
I bet you that shit's not going to happen. She's going to forfeit at $10,000 in bail, and they're not going to send
she's going to plead.
They might get
They'll negotiate. Chris Christie will defend her.
Yeah.
I'll reach out and see if she's available for an interview.
Former U.S. attorney, by the way, for those Chris Christie fans.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Great story.
That's right. And he memorizes 30-second speeches, possibly. Yeah. There it is, folks. The memorized 30-second speech.
Only on Real Life, Real Crime Daily.
Well, I've never seen someone sweating a debate so bad.
Good luck, Shannon. And I hope that Latino family is not in the audience
right.
at your trial.
Oh, my God.
Right.
Moving right along, guys. There are cold cases, and then there are really
cold cases.
Really cold cases.
Nice.
Hear that? Sound effects.
We have a cold case that is 5,300 years in the making. It's hard to believe, but the bitter cold can do a lot to preserve a body,
right.
And that's exactly what happened in this case. A frozen body was found accidentally in a remote area of the Alps in northern Italy. When people first looked at it, the corpse seemed to be a hiker or somebody who had fallen to their death, and it looked like any other
dead frozen person.
Any other icicle. But that's not what was actually there. Jim, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And before we kind of dive into this, a lot of people they want to hike what's the main at Mount Everest.
Yeah.
So Mount Everest is common for these people hiking up that amazing mountain, and they get as far as they can go, and they end up passing away from the elements, and you can't take them down. That body is just there forever. Well, they have hikers as you go along Mount Everest to hike to the summit. that are still there today that have been there 100 years that you just kind of walk past and they're frozen in the, so this is a real thing. And it could be, I couldn't imagine
avalanches too. And then the snow melts and they're found.
Yeah. So there's many bodies on Mount Everest that are just frozen there. Some of them, they know who the people are. These are documented accounts. And could you imagine hiking up a mountain? You're passing a dead guy and you're like, man, what am I doing up here? Yeah. So it does happen. But in this situation, the gentleman was really found accidentally. He was shot in the back with an arrow and he was perfectly preserved. So totally frozen solid. The arrow hit the main artery and death was almost instantaneous. They could tell that. Remember, he's 5,300 years old. So they called, well, I can tell you who they didn't call. They didn't call Woody, so they didn't call the most renowned detective in the world, but maybe one of Europe's most renowned, which is Inspector Alex Horn. And they said, look, we want you to investigate this and we want you to tell us exactly what happened to this frozen, what they term as the Iceman.
Iceman got shot in the back.
Otzi, the Iceman.
Yeah, Otzi.
I can assure y'all listeners that when they brought in this inspector, although they would have done an autopsy, obviously, like they did, and they found out the artery was severed and they shot him back, they are not actively pursuing any leads for bad guys.
100%. 100%.
So they cornered him in a shack.
That dude got away with it, yeah. Or that female got away with it. Hey, we go back to our last episode of Real Life Real Crime Daily when we talked about the mafioso boss. They just got maybe some of his people.
That's right. And so Alex was excited because he had a lot of things that you need in a case to really make it stick. He had a well-preserved body. He had an untampered crime scene, right? And all the evidence around this body was still sitting there. The weapon, everything. As a matter of fact, the victim was one of the most well-preserved mummies ever
Yeah.
in the history of frozen mummies.
Ice, people.
He came from
that was original cryogenics, right?
He came from the Copper Age. I've never heard of the Copper
Age. That's when they went from stone to start using the copper for blades and stuff like that. I'm kind of a history buff, but as time goes on, Copper Age, Bronze Age, whatever.
Oh, I thought that referred to like kitchen fixtures, and when they went from stainless steel to
the sinks now.
Very similar.
Like those
very similar, Mike.
Hand pounded out copper sinks in new homes.
Well, the interesting thing was back in those days, people were not the size they are now.
Right.
We would be considered giants to 5,300-year-old men.
We are giants.
We are giants. That's right.
Podcast world.
In the industry. That's right. So he was 5'5". He weighed 110 pounds, and they could even tell he was around the age of 45. They said he had a really good physique, which made sense because back then all you did was walk and climb.
Like
right?
on top of a mountain, you better have a good physique.
Yeah.
He wasn't eating McDonald's French fries.
That's right. No drive-thrus in those days. And he had they found next to him a copper axe, which even back then was valuable. Even now it'd be valuable. Absolutely. I mean, copper ain't cheap.
I'm thinking all the copper wire, all the copper pipes copper get stolen now.
Yeah.
I'm going to check eBay to see if that thing's up there.
There you go.
Now, the interesting thing about this case, Woody, and I'm sure something you can testify to, is that the first thing you would do is kind of start looking for wounds and things like that.
Like cause of death.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been some Joe Blow that got rolled over in an avalanche, right? But this guy had an arrow stuck in his back.
Arrow in his back, and he had an old wound on his right thumb that happened. They were able to tell what happened 2 days before his murder. That blows my mind.
That's pretty crazy.
That's insane that you can come down. This happened 2 days before, and this was 5,300 years ago, y'all.
And I'm going to go out on a limb there and just call bullshit on that one, but
Well, Alex
hey, but
would
you know what?
disagree.
Alex, I'm just fucking with you, Alex. But if you can say he had an injury 2 days before, whatever. I mean, it makes a little more sense.
They found his calendar.
The saber-tooth rock-breaking tiger attacked him 2 days. He had to only climb up the mountain.
Yes.
Or woolly mammoth.
So here's one of my favorite animals ever. Definitely my favorite dinosaur ever or whatever. So he reconstructs it. Alex says, not only can I tell you how he died, but I can tell you almost who killed him and how they killed him and all this. So he said that the Ice Man had a fight with someone in the village, a fight he won after sustaining serious injuries in his thumb and body. So after that, he fled the village. He takes off, right? And he makes a treacherous journey up a glacier. And it was actually a glacier that separates modern day Austria and Italy. After covering a long ways, right? He's trying to make distance. He feels safe and he starts to relax. He makes a camp in a protected gully on a mountain saddle, spreading his belongings around as he's eating his last meal of ibex meat and einhorn wheat. I just had that yesterday for dinner. Possibly in the form of bread. After finishing his meal, he continues his journey, and here's where the attacker surprised him. His killer came in, shot him from the back with an arrow from a distance of about 100 feet. They can even tell how far away he was.
These motherfuckers so
crazy, huh? Yeah. The arrow went under his left armpit, ripped through a fatal artery, and killed him instantly. The angle of the arrow shows that he was either shot from below or behind, or was hit from above and behind.
Yeah, actually, I think he committed suicide.
Man, that would shoot Alex's theory right to shit.
Shoot it up there and then turn his back around so he could get him.
So Alex has reconstructed the whole thing. He said, wonder no more about, what is it, Otzi.
Where's the village?
Otzi's family finally has resolution on what happened.
Hey, good job there, Alex.
Yeah. I'm going to need to see Keith Morrison walking through the Alps in 6 feet of snow.
Where's the village? And you know what he ate and whatever. Look, hey, you know what? Hopefully, whatever. I don't know.
Let me ask you this though, Woody, and then we'll get off this subject. But actually, I am curious about this. So they have a Faces Lab in Baton Rouge and LSU.
Used to do it. Now she's retired.
And totally. Now my son is studying anthropology, and one of the things he wants to be a archaeologist that focuses on like old Indian burial grounds and things like that. So he's about to, he's like a year and a half from graduating in that, and then it's a long story. He's got to go to like PhD school and all. But my question is, the Faces Lab in Baton Rouge studies bones in murder cases primarily, I believe.
Right. Well, they try to
tell me about, because this is a real deal. They were able to age this guy and everything.
Yeah, I think the difference between this one and what Mary Manheim and Faces Lab did is this guy's preserved, right? They're not reconstructing the face to try. A lot of what they do is on Jane Does and John Does that haven't been identified. They'll go back and rebuild. They'll study the bone size, whatever it may be, and they'll rebuild these sculptures, if you will, and then put it out in new stores. They've had a lot of success with it, mad success, genius. But this guy, he was frozen. Now, what village he came from, and he had a fight in the village and all of that bullshit, whatever. I mean, yeah, you could just write whatever narrative you want to. He's preserved. No doubt that he had an arrow through his back and they could tell it punctured an artery and all that. I get all that. The rest of it, come on, whatever. I mean, that's
got tired and sat in the gully eating wheat,
shooting his arrows up so he could get him in the back. Now, I still think it was a suicide. That's just as plausible as him saying he got in a fight 2 days before
and won the fight.
Won the. How do you know he won the fight? Because he interviewed the witnesses, right? Yeah.
I'd be pretty pissed if I walked 40 miles through glacier and mountain to escape after that fight, only to get shot in the back by 2 arrows. Right?
From 100. Did you say
100 yards away.
I don't know. You can't fucking shoot an arrow 100 yards. It had to be
back then.
100 feet, maybe.
It's like an elephant.
Yeah,
tusk
it's
with
not a crossbow with it shooting
claws.
420 feet per second. Whatever. Good story. Really interesting.
It is interesting.
And I just don't think that they can prove. Certainly they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt in the village and the fights and then he won and whatever.
Wait for the Dateline.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
Wait for the Dateline.
Yeah, right. Dateline.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something. All the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Lowe's knows you want to get even more value for the holiday. That's why as a MyLowe's Rewards member, you get new member deals on holiday decor, tools, and more. And you earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards to help you save on holiday and more. Not a member? Join for free today at Lowe's.com/MyLowe's Because Lowe's knows deals. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
Our next story is another unbelievable story. This is about the convict who pimps out his daughter's dormitory. Prosecutors are seeking a life prison term for an ex-convict who extorted and forced into labor or prostitution some women he met at his daughter's on-campus housing at Sarah Lawrence College. This guy's name is Lawrence Ray, and the federal courts are charging him with heinous crimes that he groomed and abused his young victims as he took sadistic pleasure in their pain and enjoyed the fruits of their suffering. This guy's 63 years old now. He was convicted last April of using threats and violence to enrich himself with millions of dollars as he ruined the lives of his daughter's friends, watching them descend into, quote, self-hatred, self-harm, and suicidal attempts under his coercive control. His sentencing is scheduled for next Friday. So we're talking about a sentencing here. His lawyers are arguing for leniency because, believe it or not, Lawrence is a victim. They're saying he should face just 15 years maximum because of his own physical, sexual, and psychological abuse suffered as a child and through his young adulthood. That his abuse bears a striking resemblance to the conduct underlying the offenses he now stands convicted of. So his lawyers are taking the victim stance. So he was convicted at a trial after weeks of testimony that chronicled his psychologically manipulative relationships with these young people. So first of all, I don't get, how do you just move in and you're just out of prison? How do you move into your daughter's dorm? Like, where can you do that?
Yeah, master manipulator. And on the victim defense part, I submit to you there are millions of people who have been sexually abused and physically abused who don't go on and pimp out their daughter's dormitory.
Right. Yeah.
I hate it for the
Crimea
victims in
River,
this
there's
case.
millions of people and they don't do that.
Hated for the victims in this case, but this guy had to be the ultimate player.
Well, and I don't know if it was at this point, but Sarah Lawrence for years was an all-girls school. I don't know if I know they've changed now to be co-ed, but I don't know if they were still all girls in 2010. But I just still don't understand how somebody moves into.
Well, I mean, you get out of prison and you got nowhere to go, and you have a daughter, and maybe your daughter loves you, and you say, "Hey, I'm going to be on the street," and she says, "Well, you can come live at my dorm until you get."
But
Yeah, but
then how do you transpire from that
Get on
to
your feet.
pimping out the whole dorm?
No, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying I can see how he ended up there.
Maybe they were running like a back page or a Craigslist type situation, because I can't see all these Johns when he's making millions of dollars, all these Johns coming into the dorm and being serviced like a whorehouse.
Well, is he just paying everybody? Because every dorm, every school I've ever been to has an RA.
Right.
So there's somebody in charge of the well-being of the
I'm
girls
curious
in
if
that
it
dorm.
was
Try to pimp them out too.
Well, and I'm curious if it was an actual dorm or if it was an apartment complex on the campus. I mean, LSU has 40 apartment complexes that aren't technically dorms on the campus that, I mean, they're just, anybody can rent them.
Well, they consistently throughout this version and others I've read on the story refer to it as a dorm. And so if it was off-campus housing, you'd use apartment or something like that. So
Right. And what I was thinking was, I'm like you. I don't think that could have taken place in a dorm. I think they're referring to it incorrectly. That's just my thought. But how do you, like you say, there's an RA in the dorm. There's no way all this could have taken place. He wouldn't even be allowed to live in it.
well,
I mean, he's 63. You can't hide.
If it was still an all-girls school, that RA would have been a woman, and presumably he could have put her to work
right, that's
as
what
well.
I'm saying. Maybe turn her out too.
God, he must have been
That's what I'm saying.
the original player from the Himalayas.
OG
Huh?
gangster.
Wow.
pimp, right?
Well,
Pimping ain't easy, right?
pimping ain't easy.
But
That's right.
I'm not making a light.
Yeah,
This shows you how fucking crazy this world is. That shit like this can get. You thought Shabusiness was bad. This guy, I mean, to pimp out a whole dormitory. I hate it for the victims, and I know true evil exists, and I guess there are people that are master manipulators on this guy's level, but he got caught.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It makes you question the comment, and of course these are victims, but I mean, how? It's kind of like I've had friends in the past get caught up in those scams where you end up giving your credit card information and stuff over the phone, and I'm like, how in the heck did you fall for that? I mean, to me, it's unfathomable. But one woman testified, Woody, that she became a sex worker to try to pay reparations to Ray after being convinced she poisoned him. Over 4 years, she gave Ray $2.5 million in installments that averaged between $10,000 a week and $50,000 a week.
That is walking around with a mattress tied to your back. Pay. I mean, how
that's like serious poopy
Serious.
mentality.
She's got to be a hottie, huh?
Right.
I mean, no lack of business here.
Yeah, but I mean,
But we're not. I mean, and we're not poking fun at
light
her.
but the $2.5 million in 2 years.
Dude, she's making cheese at $50,000 a week. You
I know
hear
a
me?
cop in Laverne, Tennessee that's bitching looking at that right now.
She's like, I could have made that. And Ray had shown no remorse for any of this. Which is typical of manipulators.
Right.
By the way, Chatbot says that Sarah Lawrence College became co-ed in 1968.
There you go.
So I'm just a little bit off there.
Golly,
So the
Mike, you way off.
Yeah, he's Mike.
Well, I just knew as a kid, I remember it being co-ed, but I mean being all girls. But I doubt I was thinking about college at
where
age 6.
where is that college?
It's somewhere in the New York area. I'm not exactly sure.
There's something important, though, that we need to mention in this story, and that is, Ray was not just this loser he was a loser, but he went to prison and was not well known. He was actually in the world of New York City politics, and actually played a huge key role in the former New York City police commissioner basically getting a corruption conviction. So he was in with people, and he used that.
Politicians use prostitutes also.
Yeah. Well, he used that influence, though, to get these girls' attention and to, he's showing power. And I'm in this political realm, and I guess that was an attractor to them initially. Then he'd tell them, you poisoned me.
Or he'd say,
I don't know how that works.
He'd send that one over that paid the $2.5 million in reparations, but they go and they prostitute for the judge or whoever it is, and then he has that power on them, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're on DraftKings, I'd take the over on the 15 years behind bars for this guy on this one.
No doubt.
For real. Yeah, he's definitely going to do some time. He'll die in prison.
Yeah.
Moving right along. This one's unbelievable. You guys familiar with Young Thug? You guys are big hip hop guys, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. I'm listening to it every day.
I don't remember him, but I do remember Old Thug.
Wow.
I'm an old thug.
See, coming.
Yes, I remember Young Thug.
You do?
I mean, I'm familiar. I've heard of him.
You've heard of him. Okay. Yeah. So coming from California with teenage boys, hip hop's a big part of the lifestyle. So I've actually been exposed to Young Thug's music over the years. So, which is why this particular story.
I thought I saw your ears bleed.
I can't imagine
grabbed
Mike listening to Young Thug.
Attention. Well, there's some things here. No, I don't listen by choice. I'm just saying. That, I used the word exposed, didn't I? I was exposed to some of his music. So he is he's on trial right now, being accused of co-founding a criminal street gang responsible for violent crimes and using his songs and social media to promote it.
Yeah.
So the Atlanta-based artist, whose given name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, not nearly as hip-hop sounding as Young Thug, was charged with more than 24 other people in a sprawling indictment. More charges were added in a second indictment. Fellow rapper Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, was also indicted and has since pleaded guilty to a racketeering conspiracy charge. So for those of you who don't know, who is Young Thug? He began rapping as a teenager and became tremendously successful. He started his own record label, which is called YSL.
Young Stoner Life.
Young Stoner.
YSL,
Life.
Baby.
Have to admit that my son, when I said YSL, what does it stand for? He nailed it. So Young Thug serves as the CEO of Young Stoner Life Records. He first gained widespread attention in 2013 with his mixtape 1017 Thug.
1017 Thug.
Or 1017 Thug.
1017.
Or 1017.
We're pretty sure the Thug part, the first four numbers have us.
What's 1017 mean, police code?
1017 bathroom.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Bathroom Thug. Maybe. I thought it might be murder or something where he can.
Could very well be. He moved on to have several other albums, Barter 6 in 2015, Jeffrey in 2016, So Much Fun in 2019, which became his first #1 album on the Billboard 200 chart. The rapper who currently has over 26 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
I don't think we need to cover all that. Know every hit he's ever had.
Well, I'm a big fan of Spotify, and often
might be going too long.
Often check the charts. So at 26 million, he's a major player on Spotify.
Yes.
That would probably I don't know, at least
multimillionaire,
top 25
no doubt about that.
So. Okay, so since we're not going to give you the rest of Young Thug's resume, you can get that online. Here are the charges. Last May, he and 27 other associates of his YSL record label were charged in an indictment that claims that YSL is actually a violent street gang and affiliated with the National Bloods gang.
Mm-hmm.
So record label becomes street gang.
Yeah. I see it on these videos and stuff, and I'm not directly familiar with him, but they do like the street scenes and the motorbikes racing and displaying the guns and the pounds of weed and stuff like that. So where these guys are fucked at is the RICO statute, which is a continuing and ongoing criminal organization. And they brought that in to originally deal with the mafia. Well, I submit to you that the Bloods and the Crips are ongoing criminal organizations, and these dumbasses do these videos, and they get a lot. I mean, people love them, evidently. But if you're going to be showing your firearms and your pounds of weed, even though they can't prove it, in totality, if they go back through all the stuff, and that's your ass, right?
That's right. And RICO, for those of you that ain't familiar with it, in the mid 80s, probably to the early 90s, that was the number one tool used by the FBI to take down the mob. Right. Period. Right. They were getting beat every time they went to court against the Dapper Don and
Teflon Don.
The Dapper Don, the Teflon Don, and so they used the RICO statute to have a way to convict these mafia heads without having like all this evidence.
Instead of charging them for one crime, they would do a totality of the crimes and put it together, and then racketeering, whatever, corrupt organization, RICO got teeth. It
totally took down the mob for all intents, at least what it was then. I believe there's still a mob around, but they don't have the power they used to in the certain areas that they used to be in. Now, that being said, they use that same statute to go after Young Thug. I have a couple problems with this. Number one of their arguments is that Young Thug raps about crimes that he actually committed in his music. So they're using his music as a confession. I think that's total bullshit. I don't think you can use someone's music. And look, let me tell you, there's a term out there, and Shug, I know you're listening to me. I know you're listening to me in that jail cell right now, and you're thinking the same thing I am. Suge Knight's thinking studio gangster. Yeah. And that's what they called these guys. They created a persona, and they're one person on a rap video, and on the other end of that, they are nowhere near the same person. Now, that's not to say that Young Thug is not, but you can't go off of a music that he's written to create a persona, because it creates a precedent where no one's going to be able to even be creative and go outside of themselves and rap about anything.
Well, they
without worrying about getting.
I understand what you're saying.
Accused of something.
I understand what you're saying, but you can talk about it and freedom of speech and all that. But they went back and tied this into an ongoing criminal organization, and some of the things he rapped about, they proved he actually did those crimes. And so using the music to promote it, that's just one of the many.
But that's okay that if they use that to come up with evidence to find a crime and then charge him with that crime, it's a whole nother thing.
He told himself, because he had diarrhea of mouth, he wanted to rap about his shit, and they were like, "Oh, let's see if it's true." They go back and prove it's true. Boom.
But then you prove the crime. Right. But to me, that's different than using the rap music as evidence, because. Man, Vanilla Ice was not a
right. He was a fake gangster.
Yeah, he's a fake gangster.
But again, you got to think about it like this: they listening to the music, and I'm sure they had certain crimes that have been committed even before that. So he's on their radar, right? And they were like, just like the mafia has always been on the radar, and this goes on for 10 years or whatever it was. And they were like, fuck it, let's start building a case on him. And the RICO is feds. And one thing the feds never do is rush, and they are going to come correct. And evidently, we don't know if they had what put him on the radar to begin with. They might have had evidence of crime. They're like, we can get him in state court for this one little crime, but let's see how many people we get. And I think you said it was like 27 of them. So there was a real criminal element there. However they got it, I'm sure it was by more than just rap music.
Right.
Well, it'd be a really dangerous precedent to set. But
Yeah. But
on the other side,
Definitely
we can,
messing with the First Amendment, right?
On the other side, if I'm doing all this bad shit, I'm not going to put it out to the world that I'm doing all this bad shit.
well, on the other side, they could finally get Neil Sedaka for "You're 16, You're Beautiful, and You're Mine,"
right?
which taking him out of play would be good.
And I would like to say that I'm a fan of Vanilla Ice.
What he didn't like the Neil Sedaka.
No, I just trying to place who it was.
Doom, 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 doom.
And they came out and now he's addicted to meth and shit like that, and had his home building show. He was never a gangster and grew up in an all white neighborhood, middle class, Miami. Whatever.
Miami.
So very, very interesting story.
He is a lyrical poet.
That's right. 5.0.
The highlight for me of looking at this case was looking at Judge Ural Glanville reciting the lyrics from Young Thug's 2016 single "Slime Shit" in court. Jim, you want to take a shot at the lyrics? Do you have the lyrics?
I don't have the lyrics.
You got the lyrics. Here.
All right. Hey, this, that, slime shit. Hey, YSL shit. Hey, killing 1-2 shit. Hey, fuck a jail shit. And it goes on from there. I done put a whole slime on 100 licks.
I really want that translated. Can we get Urban Dictionary on "I done put a whole slime on 100 licks"?
Yeah.
No idea.
I don't either.
But I mean, if the judge is specifically citing, he's
it's
specifically
probably,
citing
that's
that
got to be
song.
on video somewhere.
Yeah, and probably
I'm
ties
YouTubing
back
that.
to one of his crimes.
Putting a slime on 100 licks is...
Look, if y'all listen to this on Spotify or something like that, and you can find that YouTube video, send us the link.
Yeah, please.
I want to see it. I want to see the judge saying it.
I'm going to save my brain space for something better.
Well, we're joking about it, but using song lyrics as evidence of crimes committed, I
Not a
think
fan.
is
Not a fan.
an overreach for sure.
I think so. Free speech.
The judge read the N-word out loud in court?
Yep, that's what it said.
Really? Well, that was a show chock full of interesting crimes, right?
Fire,
Was
people.
indeed.
And we love y'all, and tune in.
Share
again.
us with others on all your social media platforms, and help us spread the word of the best news show on.
Absolutely. Hey, tell
radio.
the different real quick on Real Life Real Crime this week. On this coming week, you will get an old school edition Courtney Coco series done, but more importantly, we have the LOPA, the Louisiana Organ Procurement Agency raffle tickets on sale for the Crew Bash, the 4th annual Crew Bash, which tickets are also on sale on Eventbrite.com for that. But if y'all get a chance, come back and listen to old school RRC and RRC Daily.
Absolutely. And I would like to throw in there that Young Thug will be performing with Chase Tyler.
That may not be true. We'll have to check on that.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for today.
Perfect. I'm Jim Chapman.
I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agavino.
And we'll see you on Monday for the next edition of Real Life, Real Crime Daily.
Peace.
Shabusiness.
At the UPS Store, we know being a small business owner means holiday time is still go time. Still get those orders shipped time. And still re-up on stamps and supplies time. That's why this upcoming holiday, while others close up shop, we'll be open. And happy to help you keep being unstoppable. Come into your local store today. Most locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours of operation may vary. See Center for details. The UPS Store. Be unstoppable.